We're your hosts. I'm Apollo Kahn.
It's yours truly, Prince Dunn,
And welcome to TETSU Talk.
MMA.
Yes, we got another stacked card this weekend in the same month. UFC 218, just as stacked as UFC 217. I could be wrong, but it looks good on paper. We're here with our predictions on UFC 218. What's going to happen? Me and Prince Dunn will break that down today. So what you think about this card, Prince Dunn, so far?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this card, Apollo. To this card, it's the Detroit card. So we expect it, to potentially have Tony Ferguson fight on this card, being that both of the guys are from Detroit. But at the end of the day, the UFC didn't disappoint. We get the rematch: Jose Aldo versus Max Holloway in the main event.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go speak. Let's get the predictions because I'll end up speaking and giving my predictions away when I speak on anything we say, just in translation. So let's get to it. UFC, we're doing the main card. It's a lot of good fights in between, like even the prelims and some decent fights, some decent matchups. But we're here for the prelims. For the main card. And let's get to it. So first, we have...
All right, opening up the first fight, we got my girl, Tisha Torres.
And my girl.
The Tiny Tornado.
And my girl.
Michelle, the Karate Hottie Waterson.
Yes. Hey, just feel like, okay, I'm married, so I shouldn't be saying this, but, my wife is good people, so she know I got my little crushes. But this is like, if me and you had a girlfriend and we was in the fighting game, and we was in, different dojos, it's like our two girlfriends fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? Because, I know you got a thing for Tisha Torres, and I got a thing for Karate Hottie. But you know what? On the weigh-ins, I think I see Karate Hottie dance one time. I want to see Karate Hottie and Tisha Torres do a twerk off. Nice asses in MMA. Am I wrong or am I right?
I have to disagree, my brother. I would have to disagree. That crown belongs to Betch Correa. I mean, she a butterface. Everything look good, butterface.
That's why.
But I mean, that crown goes to Betchy.
That's why we get it, because Betch Correa is not one that you just like, think of after in a match. But she thick. But it's like Betch Correa. I mean, no, I ain't trying to diss, so I get what you're saying. You agree with me. Butterface kind of makes you forget anything below, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, other than her, take her out of the equation. Anybody else other than these two?
I would say at the 115-pound division, she's the reigning queen, of the gluteus maximus.
Who was the reigning
medical term? Break it down, medical term. Michelle Waterson in the 115-pound division. Yeah, she's the reigning queen of the gluteus maximus.
Okay, whoever listens to the show,
try to be professional.
Whoever listens to the show, this show is about fighting. This is not about no pornographic or disrespectful to women and sexist male type stuff.
Hey, at the end of the day, all positivity and it's all compliments. Both of these women are hell of a fighters. They're both beautiful women. They both keep their bodies tight. So, at the end of the day, we're just giving credit what credit is due. And at the end, let's say, who would you pick to win this fight, Apollo? Tisha Torres or Michelle Waterson? Now, do I even have to ask?
Okay. I'm about to give my prediction, but I won't say before. All the guys, not the ladies listen to this, all the guys, when you see if you see Michelle Waters take her down and mount her, she doesn't mount. It could be half guard, side control. Dude, it's like she's blessed. That's all I was to say. But anyway, with a gluteus maximus. But anyway, I'm going to go with this. Tisha Torres is a very patient fighter. She's good at scoring. She got decent strikes, good ground game. Karate Hottie, I thought she had a new wave. I know she was ready to go for the crown or, compete for the crown. But then, think about it. Rose just shocked her. Just came out of nowhere with a head kick and just rocked her. And that's how Rose pretty much got the submission. And taking up from Rose. That's my girl. I'm riding with her. I think she's still going to the title and, keep the crown. That's her era. That's my opinion. But I do feel that Karate Hottie just underestimated her and got caught just like JJ. And I think Karate Hottie still has the advantage in this fight. And I'm not going for her because she's my boo, but I'm going to go for her because I think Karate Hottie has skill sets to beat Tisha Torres, and she's bigger than her. I think she will. If they goes to the ground, it'd be interesting. But I'm going Karate Hottie. I can't make a decision on if it could be sub, decision, or KO, but I say Karate Hottie got this fight.
All right, when it's women, interesting as Michelle Waterson has 5 losses in her career, but the only loss in the UFC was her last fight against Rose Namajunas. That's the only loss Karate Hottie has in the UFC. Right. And Tisha Torres, she's 9-1, and her only loss in her career was against Rose Namajunas.
Thug Rose.
Her loss was by decision, and she lost that fight, but she did win her on Rose. It was a 3-round fight in which Tisha round to 2, against Rose. I look at Michelle. Michelle she's small for the weight class. Michelle doesn't really cut weight at 105, so she was an anim weight. She was an anim weight champion at 105 pounds.
She's super small.
She gets to the upper echelon of the 115-pound division. Yeah, once she gets to the upper echelon at the 115-pound division, some of these girls are going to be able to take her down and hold her down, even though she's very slick off of her back with her submissions. But at the highest level, you're not going to submit unless you've already hurt them or damage, in order to catch them at the highest level. And like I said, Tisha Torres only lost to Rose her whole career, and I think Tisha the decision. I think it's a boring fight. Gets her takedowns. I think she gets control, and I think she does enough to get the decision. So I got Tisha Torres by decision, tiny tornado.
I agree. I agree as in not that she's going to win, but I agree if she does win, it'd be by decision. I would love to see if they go on the ground. Karate Hottie, I think ground game is probably better. Tisha's probably stronger there. But, yeah, I go Karate Hottie. And I guess you got Tisha Torres. So we stick to our women. See, we true men. We stay behind our women.
Go ahead. But I would say this about Michelle Waterson makes me, I would say, a bit nervous. Detroit, right?
Yeah.
The fight is Saturday night. And she should be just arriving in Detroit today. Los Angeles promoting this fight. She was on several talk shows, radio shows, and I think the biggest, most high-profile show she was on yesterday was the Steve Harvey show in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow, okay.
Show. And so, with that being said, like, Tisha Torres, no one's talking to Tisha Torres. She's not promoting the fight. She's not doing interviews here, interviews there. She's not on the Steve Harvey show. Know what she's doing? She's training and getting ready for this fight. She's not promoting the fight. She's not in L.A. She's not going from Albuquerque to L.A. to from L.A. to Detroit. So that's something that, makes me a little bit nervous when it comes to Michelle. The fact that she has to, I guess you could say, sell this fight because she has the face and she has the look that the UFC wants to push and promote. And that doesn't work out well when the UFC puts that type of pressure on certain people that they try to put over. It tends not to work out well when you take fighters away from their main thing, which is fighting, not promoting.
Yeah, but
so that's a side note to think about.
Yeah, I got you. But do you think that's by choice, by Tisha Torres, or
I think it's by choice.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's by choice for Michelle Waterson. Of course, she wants to be known, but at the same time, she's coming off a loss in which she got head kicked and strangled. Mouth in her was bleeding as she was being strangled. So when you're coming off of a loss like that, the most devastating loss of her career, do you really think she wants to go to L.A. show or talk to Big Boy in the morning? Do you really think she want to do that? But she did it. So
yeah, and what I think,
but that's something to think about when it comes to this fight.
No, I think Danny White got a hard because I seen him at the Invicta before she got signed on. And Danny White was like ignoring a lot of females that come up to him that was fighters, but her he paid wide eye to, and I think like Danny White was really playing the picture, but I don't think he actually thought she probably beat Rose, and like he wanted her to be his eye candy, the new eye candy for that division. But anyway, I think Dana, gave her this, schedule, and of course she's gonna take it because she makes money. So I think that's where that comes from. But anyway, let's move along. Next we have
the next fight we got Eddie, the Underground King, the original Kimbo Slice, the original Underground King, Eddie Alvarez, versus Justin, the highlight, Gaethje.
Yes, yes,
You got Gaethje or Alvarez?
yes. This was a hard one, but I watched Gaethje fight against Michael Johnson, and it was a great fight. Don't get me wrong; it's some Rocky Balboa type shit. But my whole problem was that he took a lot of hits and like a lot of unnecessary hits. That was like, it wasn't even like, well, not taking nothing from Michael Johnson. He's a good fighter and a decent striker, but the stuff he was hitting with was stuff that you shouldn't really get caught with unless you just, careless. And I think that the way I see him fight last time, he gets careless and I think he trusts his chin or whatever. I never seen his fights in the World Series of fighting, so I can't go off of those at all. I'm just going off the Michael Johnson fight. But I think that Eddie Alvarez is way more experienced, way more seasoned, and has way more patience. And I think he's going to get the right hits in to finish Gaethje off. That's why I say with Gaethje and Michael Johnson, Gaethje is, I think he's a slugger. Like I said, I can't judge off of past fights, but when I seen him fight with Michael Johnson, he's just a slugger and just willing to go all out. And I think that's a bad formula to go in with Eddie Alvarez. I think I get Eddie Alvarez to finish with TKO.
Yeah, a guy like Justin, the casual fans love him because he goes up there, he throws caution to the wind, he takes damage, he dishes out damage. He shows no technique, so he makes a guy that hasn't trained a day in their life feel as though they could hold their own against, these world-class athletes because he has the technique, and he chooses to get in these fights. He has excellent wrestling that he doesn't use. He uses it to stay on his feet, the brawling style in which he likes to fight. At the same time, this level is too high on career or successful career fighting like that because most guys aren't going to play that game. They're going to let you play that game and they're going to counter you and KO you and we're going to go home. So it's interesting, but it's the perfect storm for Justin because he's got a guy in Eddie Alvarez. Like Eddie might come out there and try to be technical, but the moment Eddie gets tagged, Eddie goes basically into the same mode that Justin does. Sure. In which you'll have two guys just throwing leather. We saw it in the Dustin Poirier fight. We saw it, in which he made it a good effort to try to come back in that fight. And so this is a hard pick because both guys are going to get hurt. Both guys are going to get wobbled. Both guys are going to have chicken legs. And it comes down to who lands the harder shot or the cleaner shot. And when it comes down to it, who is the smarter fighter? Who's the smarter guy? And I'm going to go with Eddie Alvarez. He's a former champion at the UFC level. He's a former Bellator champion. He's one of the best of all time. I'm going to go with Eddie Alvarez. A guy like Justin, when it's all said and done, in 2 years, I guarantee he has at least 3 losses career. And so it's fun to have guys like that in the UFC for the casual fans, but that story doesn't end well if you choose to continue to fight like that. So I'm going to take Eddie by TKO, and I say in the second round TKO for Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight, a good fight. The last fight Gaethje had, was it 5 rounds? Was it a main event card? A main event fight?
It was a main event, 5 rounds, and Michael Johnson ran out of gas late in the second round. But also, that's a testament to, if you watch Gaethje fight in the World Series, his pressure. He's constantly pressuring you. You can't take him down because his wrestling is excellent, but he's not looking to take you down. He's just looking to apply that pressure. And something that a lot of boxers do, they throw a lot of feints, or they'll apply pressure, but then they'll lean backwards. They'll put pressure on the front leg and lean backwards to get you to throw. And so you're throwing, but you feel like you're in range to land, but you're not actually in range to land. But they're getting you to throw punches and miss punches, and so you only have so many punches. Let's say you have 400 punches, or that's like gasoline. You have 400 punches. That's gasoline. Once you start getting to 350 punches, if you haven't landed most of your punches, you're going to start getting tired. And so that's the way Justin kind of comes on at the end of fights because he's a champion. He's fought in 5 rounds, half of his career. So, but it's a 3-round fight. I think Eddie's too smart for him, and I think Eddie gets the job done and TKOs him. But, yeah, that's how I feel about Justin, though.
Me too.
That is your boy, though. You know, I already know who you picking in this fight. You got Henry Cejudo versus Sergio Pettis. Who you got? Man, we got to get a nickname for Sergio. He don't even have a nickname. He just calls himself Sergio. We got to figure out a nickname for this kid. But who you got it? Cejudo or Pettis?
Low time Pettis. Dude, you know what? That person he fought was this up and coming kid, and I forgot his name. I can't remember the kid's name, but he's good too. I think he's gonna be a very good contender later on. He has.
Oh, you talking about Moreno? You talking about Brandon Moreno?
Yeah. And Sergio, you know, surprised everybody he got him, but I'm just not convinced in Sergio's skills. Like, I still think he's mediocre, and I think that Henry Cejudo is going to fucking knock him the fuck out. I mean, I'm getting straight to the point. I'm not even going to bullshit and prolong this prediction on this fight. He'll get knocked the fuck out. I think Henry Cejudo is going to finish him. I don't think it's probably even going past the first round. That's my take on it. I really have no much to say about this fight. I just think Sergio, to me, is just like, this fight, if he gets, even if he lose, if he get Henry Cejudo a competition, and even go third round and decision, I'll say, okay, all right, the kid got something. But yeah, like, I don't know what's going on that camp, because like, even his brother's not the same anymore. His brother is like downward. But we talk about Sergio. I think he's getting KO'd even before the first round is over, or mid-second round. Henry Cejudo.
So you got Cejudo by knockout.
About knockout.
With Sergio, it's interesting, man. He's looking good. You could tell he's growing. You could tell he's getting better. He's also a young guy, man. He's a young guy. I think he's 24 years old. I think he just turned 24 too. So that's crazy how young he is. Mm-hmm. But with Sergio, okay, so Sergio, he's been fighting in the UFC for a little while now, and he has 7 wins in the UFC, or 8 wins. He has 8 wins in the UFC. Mm-hmm. And out of those 8 wins, he has 8 decisions. So he has yet to finish any opponent in the UFC.
Right.
0 finishes in the UFC. And the two losses he has in the UFC, one's by knockout and one's by rear naked choke submission. So we've seen him lose both ways. Mm-hmm. But his only path to victory thus far is decisions, and I don't see him being able to outwork Henry Cejudo in a 3-round fight. That's just unimaginable, considering Cejudo is the wrestler. So like, Pettis can't dictate where the fight goes. Cejudo dictates where the fight goes, and I just think Cejudo is another level. Like, the one thing you would say is, like, Sergio has a puncher's chance or a kicker's chance, but he doesn't finish guys in the UFC at this level. That's what that's the proof. The proof is in the pudding. He doesn't finish guys. He gets decisions. He's not gonna outwork Henry Cejudo. So I see Henry Cejudo, getting a decision or a knockout. I could see a knockout happening, but if a knockout doesn't happen 2 minutes within that first round and the first minute of the second round, I see it going to decision. So unanimous decision. If I had to pick, I would say, Sergio Pettis, he'll be tough enough to last, the barrage that Henry Cejudo tries to put on him. But I say Henry Cejudo by decision, because at the end of the day, they're 125-pound human beings.
Yeah.
So, like, at the end of the day, as hard as Henry Cejudo hits, he doesn't hit that fucking hard. He's 125 pounds. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll take Henry Cejudo by decision.
Yeah. I just don't see it no other way. Like, if Sergio surprises, then all kudos to him. I'm not a Cejudo fan. So
maybe he gets his first knockout. Maybe he gets his first knockout.
That'd be more embarrassing.
I see him winning.
Yeah. What we got next?
But, yeah. So next we got, the big boys, the co-main event of the evening. Number 1 contender fight. Winner gets Stipe. Overeem. The vet versus Francis Ngannou. The French phenom. Yeah. So who you got in this one, Apollo? I could say one thing for sure. Someone's getting knocked out in this fight.
Yeah.
Someone's getting knocked out. Who you got, Apollo?
What I want to say before we before we go into this fight, I meant to say it when we first got on the Sergio fight. Why the hell is Eddie Alvarez in Gaethje before Eddie for Henry Cejudo and Sergio? I don't understand that, but anyway, yeah, I got. Let's see here. This is a hard fight to pick because Overeem has been very, very focused lately. And even though he got a glass chin, he's found a way to get through fights without getting clean connected on that chin. I mean, he got hit a couple of times, but like when he's in situations where like he's rocked or in trouble, he gets his composure back and he gets stabilized and he executes to win. And he's been winning like with finishes and shit like that. So, I mean, even been JDS. I mean, people that should be able to connect on his chin. So the thing about Naganya, he's I'm saying the name right. Probably fucked it up. He's real. He's good. And the more I see you fight different, more advanced opponents, he's good. But I feel like I don't know because Overeem's seen everything he can see, and like, is he quick enough to catch Overeem? But if he does catch Overeem, I think it's lights out. So to me, I don't think Overeem really is. I think if he's dangerous for Overeem to rush him and try to finish him, so only way Overeem can really win to me is by decision. But I feel Overeem is going to try to get a win and try to make a statement and get a little slightly careless and get caught. So I'm going to go with Naganya TKO. I don't know what round, but he would get it.
So you got Overeem by knockout, or you got Francis Ngannou by knockout?
Ngannou. I call him Naganya, but Ngannou.
Got
the Predator.
Got Francis. Okay.
Yeah, I got Francis by KO.
This fight is an interesting one. If Overeem is 37 years old. He's damn near 40. He's damn near 40, man, and he's fought 58 times. He's had 58 MMA fights. That's not even counting boxing. That's not counting kickboxing. So I'm pretty sure he's had well over 100 fights. 100. Who fights 100 fights? He's fought over 100 fights.
Yeah.
The thing about Overeem is he is the best heavyweight in the division, hands down. There's not a heavyweight better than him. He's fought 100 times, so he has no chin. So he can't take a punch. He can't take a jab at this point in his career. But for skill, tat for tat, there's not a guy in the UFC that's better than him at the heavyweight division. But when I look at Overeem, he's definitely changed his game, man. He's a different fighter than he was, years back when we saw him get knocked out by everyone. Overeem, he's lost one fight in the last 3 years, and that was against Stipe Miocic, the champion, which he had flatlined Stipe. In that fight, that first round, he flatlined Stipe. But the thing is, Stipe hasn't been through the wars and hasn't had the damage that Overeem had, so Stipe was able to recover. Yeah. But he flatlined Stipe in that fight, and Stipe was able to recover and come back and knock Overeem out. But that's the only fight he's lost in the last 3 years. Yeah. He's beat Verdum. He's beat Mark Hunt. He's beat Andre Arlovski. He's beat Junior Dos Santos. Yeah. He's beat Roy Nelson. He's beat Stefan Struve.
Great list.
And so that's Overeem since he's been at Jackson's. He's basically taken his striking and his discipline to another level. And with Francis Ngannou, man, I see a young guy. He's 31 years old. I see a young guy that the UFC is trying to push, so they're basically like pushing him down our throats. And I feel like we've seen him before, man. We've seen him. He's basically, he's like Czech Congo, man. He's basically Czech Congo. You see this big, super muscular, powerful black man from Africa, with French descent or African descent from France, and he doesn't speak English very well. That sounds familiar, right? Czech Congo. We don't know a whole lot about him. So
but Czech Congo was horrible.
But and he's bodied up. Yeah. Czech Congo was knocking fools out when he first got in the UFC. Then the upper echelon guys started getting him. Yeah. But and so I haven't seen enough from Francis Ngannou. I really haven't.
I agree.
He fought Arlovski. Only fight on his resume worth mentioning is Arlovski. Everyone else is guys that may not even be in the UFC next year. Their careers are literally on the thread. They probably have day jobs when they're not fighting in MMA. So so I can't take the resume serious, with the exception of Arlovski. But it's a hard fight to pick because at the end of the day, he is a heavyweight. He is explosive. He is fast. And Overeem does have somewhat of a suspect chin at this point in his career.
Yeah. Right.
But also something I see with Francis is he primarily uses his hands. He primarily uses his boxing. And so if you're going to fight arguably the best striker in MMA history, if you're going to fight that guy only with two weapons, then coming into a fight at a huge disadvantage. And a guy like Overeem, it'll probably take him 3 or 4 minutes to kind of figure out your game and then pick up the pace from there and go to work. But I don't see this fight going, the distance. But who knows? We've seen Overeem knock guys out. We've seen him finish guys in the second round. But if it goes to the third round, we all know that Overeem's going around the gas towards that third round. But will Francis be out of gas too? Because he carries a lot of muscle. We haven't seen him outside of the second round or the first round.
Yeah.
So he's kind of the same. He's suspect. So this is a hard fight to pick. So I think you got to go with the vet. You got to go with the sure thing, and I think the sure thing is Alistair Overeem. So I'm gonna go with Alistair Overeem. I'll say by knockout, man. I think he gets it done. I'll say by knockout. I think he gets it done. Overeem by knockout.
Right on. You have some points there. You have some points. I'll give you that. All right, let's move on to the next fight.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Let's move to the next fight.
Oh, okay, next fight. I thought she was about to add on to the co-main, but the main event, Max Bless Holloway versus Jose Aldo. One of the best fighters in MMA history. Definitely at 145, he's the best to ever do it. The rematch. We kind of fell into this. Matchup. He took the fight on short notice. That's something to always think about. I believe he took this fight on 4 weeks' notice. So that's up because it's supposed to be Frankie Edgar, but Frankie Edgar got hurt sparring and broke his face. So someone elbowed him or punched him in the face and broke his face.
Yeah.
Yes, he has a broken bone in his face.
That's all bad.
And someone punched him or elbowed him, or even maybe he got caught with a knee shooting in for a takedown. But he has a broken bones in his face. So we're getting a rematch: Jose Aldo versus Max Holloway. Who you got in this one, Apollo? This one here is easy for me.
Yeah, I don't think Jose can bring anything anything different that he didn't bring. He brought the first fight, so I'm going with Max Holloway. I'm getting straight to the point. Max Holloway is his time. He's younger. I think he's actually more skill set. Nothing for Jose. Jose is a legend. He got a great skill set himself, but the thing about it is just that he's one of those guys, kind of like Anderson Silva. After a while, when you watch so much video, and then you got one person that takes him out, you kind of like, okay, everybody gets kind of settled or mentally about that person. Like when Chuck Liddell got knocked about a Rampage, it's like everybody knows the formula or whatever, how to approach that fighter. I think with Jose, he's a counter fighter, and I think his past highlights that were great had to do with a lot of him countering people and stuff like that. But I think Max Holloway got the reach. He got the right skill set. I don't think Jose got anything for him that will, make him lose this fight. I see another finish, actually. Max Holloway, probably quicker than the last time. So, yeah, I go Max Holloway. I love Jose Aldo. I wish he had his moment with McGregor again. But still, I think even McGregor will probably get Jose by now. Aldo, this is your way out for good. Just go back to Brazil, open a school, or continue training at one of your schools for students because your career is done. Max Holloway, TKO.
Yeah, but this one here, man, it's I'm gonna use this analogy because a guy like Jose Aldo, he's so young, man. He's so fucking young. He's 31 years old. Right. 31. He just turned 31.
Yeah.
Just turned 31 like 3 months ago.
Yeah, it made me feel old because I'm older now.
He's 31. He's 31 years old. But I say it all the time, when it comes to MMA or boxing or combat sports, it's not about how old you are.
Yeah.
It's about how many miles are on the tires, so to speak.
Yeah, my body all jacked.
You can have a car that's an 89, but you never drove it, so it only has 100,000 miles or 80,000 miles. And then you can have a car that's a 2015, only 2 years old, yet and all over the country, and it has 2,000 miles on it. So which car is going to last longer? The car that's the 89 is going to last longer than the 2015 because of the mileage. And that's what it comes down to. So a guy could be 40 years old and still look good, like a Yoel Romero, not a lot of miles on those tires. when it comes to MMA. When it comes to MMA, wrestling, yes, he has miles, but MMA, as far as taking punches to the head, that's not happened. That hasn't happened to him a lot. But he hasn't been fighting very long. And a guy like Jose Aldo has been fighting his whole life, who's 31, and he looks like he's 40.
Yeah,
you think he's 41? He's 31 years old.
Like the new Garrett.
So I think his time is up, and I see Max getting in there because Max has been preparing for a 5-round fight, for 2 months now. He's had a full training camp. And Jose took this fight on short notice, number one. So what was Jose doing? What was he like? He only fights once a year anyway.
Yeah, it's even worse.
Before they called him and said, "Would you take this fight?" Because they couldn't find another opponent for Max. They called him and said, "Would you take this fight?" Oh yeah. By the way, to America, and not Vegas. Now we're gonna fly you all the way to Detroit. So damn near Canada. You might as well say Canada because he's going clear across the U.S.
Yeah.
So like. Not only so his flight is twice as long. He's not going to Vegas, Michigan, damn near South Canada. So the flight is going to be a big deal for a guy that always fights in Brazil. I think he's fought like 3 times in America or something like that. So he doesn't fight here often. He has every single disadvantage he could possibly have. And if he had any advantages, he still would lose this fight. But with all of the disadvantages that he has, traveling to America, traveling to Detroit, taking the fight on 3 weeks' notice, and then he's aging like bananas. So with all that, with that whole combination, I think he gets knocked out in the first round. I think Max Holloway gets in there and starches him in the first round.
Yeah, probably it's gonna be bad. He probably submit him too. Probably knock his ass down and submit him. But like the way I explain it makes it like. Jose is hella old. You're right. He's young, but yeah, it's just you say he looks old. He looks like he's just worn out mentally. Yeah. So we both got the same prediction, Max Holloway. I want to say one thing too. Now you added to that fight, but just on Detroit where it's at. I forgot about that. I'm surprised Kevin tried to get on this card. See, like he probably one of those, like I don't know. I'm probably wrong. He probably does be in the gym every week, training or keeping up to par, but when you think he'd get on this card, saying to be like, a hometown boy, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan, but then, they got desperate and they needed a main event, for a card a few months ago. Okay. And so they made him and Tony in Vegas, because they literally couldn't. Right, that was supposed to be the main event,
Hold on. Is it Tony facing? Is it Tony facing?
Because Tony's from Detroit too. But Tony's not from Detroit, but Tony's from Michigan too. So like they both from Michigan. That's why they both went to the same college. They know each other. You know what I mean? So they've known each other for quite some time now. Fight to have in Detroit.
Is it Tony fighting Khabib?
Huh? Oh, Khabib?
Yeah, Khabib. Is it Tony fighting him now?
I don't. Nah, Tony didn't accept the fight. Tony's holding out for Connor.
He's kind of smart. Yeah. It's about.
Tony did accept the fight, yeah. No, but you know what? Connor's never fighting Tony. I don't think Tony realizes that, but he's trying his best to hold out.
He's fighting Nate.
He's not fighting Tony.
Nate. I already seen him sitting down, been planning for weeks how to promote this next fight against Nate, the trilogy. But yeah. I got Holloway, definitely. Holloway, I think, is going to smash Jose. Like I think last fight he was very cautious just because it was Jose. Like, it's like fighting like somebody you grew up watching or I mean, he's not that old, younger than him, but he's always a legend of sport, even though he's still 31. So I think Holloway was kind of cautious, but I think now he's probably more confident. But he shouldn't get too confident because, like I say, Jose still is a decent fighter. But yeah, I see Holloway totally just demolishing him with that reach and everything like that. So that's our prediction. You got anything else to say, Prince Dunn?
Oh no, that's it, man. I'm juiced for this card, to basically see how things play out. The heavyweight fight is the most intriguing one, though. The other fights are fun.
Yeah, it's funny. I knew about this card, but I didn't know it was this week because I was looking just for the card for Ultimate Fighter because our fantasy league, and all of a sudden I was like, oh no, and I just pressed it. I was like, oh shit. So I didn't even know. No, actually, I seen on YouTube it was actual countdown. I was like, what, countdown that early? So that's what I figured out. But anyway, people, please subscribe if you like the channel, if you like the review, you want to keep listen to our show for MMA predictions and insights and news. In 2 weeks from now, or should I say 3 weeks, or 2 weeks from now, we're going to have every week we're going to do an MMA show. We'll take 2 weeks off, and we'll come back in 2 weeks, and we're going to do an MMA show every week. Even if it's not no fights going on, we're going to speak about something about MMA. If it's had to do with old fights or matches we like to see, or we can add a little bit of Bellator in there, or anybody else, any other organization that's having some good. We're gonna have MMA going on and on, but only way for you guys to know is by subscribing and hit the notification button. So once we're on and once we're throwing these new shows, that's gonna be constant detailed information, update news, our intake on stuff. You gotta subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notifications, and be a part of the TETSU family. And as always, please, people, keep it TETSU.